But in those moments, I find myself like, okay, I could either make this a huge fight or I could, take this as a learning lesson and be like, okay, let me do this next time. And most of the time I take it as a learning lesson.
Welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. I'm Charlene Byars, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Hello, Kylie. Yay, she's here.
Oh my gosh. I can't tell you. Wait, I just have to say, I'm like fangirling right now. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I literally was telling my husband this morning, I was like, I'm going on a podcast and like, I have to be cool because I just like, I've seen her and I've heard her and I've watched her. And he's like, it's okay, you got this. And I was like, okay, but you don't understand. Like, I'm fangirling. So I just have to tell you that.
Oh, I love you so much. But I'm such a fan of yours too. And I'm so excited that you are here today. And all that we're going to talk about, I know that we're going to talk about love and relationships and women and success.
Yeah.
And we knew that you were like the perfect person to have this conversation with. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I was so excited too. And I just want to ask you, so for the listeners that have not been in your world yet, because I know they will get in your world really quickly after this conversation. But seriously, for the listeners, can you just share a little bit about who you are, what you do? And let's just kind of start from there.
Yeah, so I own a marketing agency and I've done it for this July, actually 4th of July. I don't know how that happened in the world. As we talk, we're going to learn the world of coincidences is like no joke. So 4th of July, my favorite holiday, I started my business. There'll be 6 years this year and I help small business owners with marketing. So from social media management to email marketing to branding, all the stuff that every business owner is like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I didn't think I need to do this. That's where I come in. So that's where I help. And I'm like, let me take it off your plate. And yeah, so I've been doing it for, 6 years. So I've learned so much and there's so many things. And with that, I have a team of 2 girls. They're amazing and it's small but mighty. And everyone's like, oh, are you going to scale more? Are you going to do more? And I'm like, I love my team. Like, I want to be like, I don't want to be a whole corporation. Like, I love it. So, small business girly over here.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, my goodness. Even before we get into all the other stuff, I am curious right now, just overall, because that is such a niche and such a need also. So it's a niche, but it's a need. And really helping people, oh my goodness, seriously, create their business, but like be able to put it all together so it functions well, right? So there's so many moving parts. How did you even get started doing that?
Oh my gosh. So I was the talkative kid in class, and I would hide my phone at the dinner table. Let me just tell you that. Like, I was always the type of person I'd be like, oh, let me just text my friends over here and that. And my mom always said, you're going to be in marketing. You're going to be in marketing. Well, I straight up was like, no, mom, I'm not being in marketing. This is not what I'm doing. And she's like, one day. So I actually went to college for a business degree, and then I transferred to university. So I went to community college and transferred to the University of Arizona State University. Go Devils. And so when I went, they were like, okay, business, you're going to have to do calculus, you're going to have to do accounting. And I looked at the guy and I was like, no, like, hold on, stop. I want a business degree, but without the math. And he said, organizational leadership. And I was like, done. Don't know what that is? Sure. I got a few more years left. Like, I just want to be done. So I graduated with an organizational leadership, a degree. Now, I had no clue what that was. At the time, I was 20 years old. It was my best friend, her dog, me, all living in an apartment. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I was a preschool teacher for 3-year-olds, by the way, at this time. So it was so much fun. But I also was like, how can 3-year-olds like be so sassy? And like, I was like, okay, don't want to be a teacher. Thought I would want to be a teacher. I went through that. Then I got an opportunity to be a assistant for a real estate agent. And I was like, okay, I could do this. Well, she didn't do any marketing. And I was like, homegirl, what are we doing here? Like, hold on. And then that's when I realized I started researching. Nobody was doing marketing in the real estate industry. Like what today is not what it was almost 6 years ago. So then I started researching small businesses. Well, I don't like to say COVID, but then COVID hit. And that's when I was like, hold on, people need to be marketing. So then I really leaned into it and I was teaching Zoom classes. I mean, I was here like holding up my phone, like, here's how to log into Instagram, like this type of thing.
That's
So
amazing.
that's where it all started. And then it's kind of plummeted into this whole business. And I mean, to this day, my parents are like, are you going to listen to us now? And I'm like, fine. Like, yes, I went into like marketing my own, agency and all of that. But the route to get there, I did not think that I would be here at all. It's so crazy.
Well, obviously you're amazing at it and you really
Mm.
have this knack to it. So it was meant to be, but I can imagine it wasn't like you said, it wasn't something that you ever really considered. You didn't really consider doing it.
No, I literally was like, "Oh, I'm gonna, like, go work in the corporate world, and I'm gonna be a corporate girly. I wanna come home." Like, I was, like, totally in that, and then straight, like, God-filled moment flipped my world and was like, "No, you're gonna do this." And I'm like, "Are you sure? Hold on." And then literally, like, to tell you, like, I've been full-time, like, this is my bread.
Yes.
Like, I live and breathe full-time this, but at the time, obviously, you have to offset some,
Hmm.
money to pay bills, to have a life. So when that happened, I remember going to my boss at the time and being like, "Hey, I think I need to be 1099. Like, I don't think I want to do this." And they literally were like, "Well, we are coming to you and had this meeting with you because we think you should be 1099." And I was just like sitting in this, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they were like, "Yeah, like,
Wow, that's
it's your
so
house."
serendipity. Oh my
That's
gosh.
what I'm saying. My life is like coincidences. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's
Well,
crazy.
this is so good. You guys know, seriously, for the listeners today, this is we're just starting here. Which is really cool because she's, downplaying it a little bit, but she's a very successful businesswoman. And like she said, when she first had this, she knew that she wanted to be successful. She didn't know in what capacity, but you always had that drive. I can tell you had this drive in you. And since you had this drive in you and you had this like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I know I want to do something. I want to, you know what I mean? Like you kind of thinking of business and how this morphed into what you do now.
Yeah.
Would you look back and think that since you were young, take me back a little bit, since you were, a young girl, um, was building, working or creating, was that something that was always in the forefront, or were you more like, tell me a little bit about how you grew up and what you thought about, when you were going to grow up, what you wanted to do?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, I've always told my mom, this is so bad. I'm like, can't believe I'm about to say this, but I literally told her, she's like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I was like, "Marry a plastic surgeon. So when I get older, I can have both." Like, I literally banked on that. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to marry a rich guy." Like, trust me, I married, actually, it's so funny because my husband is not a plastic surgeon, not even in that field. He does sheet metal fabrication and like totally is like
Lord.
totally different. But at the like literally growing up, anybody would ask me and be like, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna marry a rich person." Like I literally did not have a plan. But I started seeing like my friends going through like the corporate world is such a whole different world. Like I just have to say, like, if anybody's listening and they are in the corporate world, bless your soul. Because
Bless
holy crap. But I knew I did not want that for one. But two,
you.
I was
Okay.
like, I I love helping people. I
Yeah.
am a helper. I am the person. I'm a yes person. And I will always be to the day I die. I feel like everyone's like, you have to say no. I'm like, that's not my nature. Like, you could tell me, like, hey, I need you at 2 o'clock here. I will be like, okay, let me make it work and I'll be there type person. So with that, I've always been that way. But with really growing up, like, I mean, my parents, they both were in real estate field. So we'd always, our family activity, some people's is like going bowling. Ours was driving around neighborhoods looking at pretty houses. Like, when we got on vacation, we would drive around and look at pretty houses too. Like, I literally remember vividly, we'd always go to Ventura, California, and
Okay.
we'd go to the beach house and we would drive around looking at houses. Like, that was how my family bonded. We just got in the car and did that. Like, most people, they went bowling. Nope, my family did that. So I grew up kind of with that. And my parents, they own their own business. So seeing how hard they worked, like I remember there were some nights I'd come out and like get a drink of water. My mom was still working on the laptop. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Or family vacations, like in between Disneyland, they'd be like, "Okay, go take a nap. We're gonna be over here on our computer." Like, so growing up with that mindset, I knew obviously it was a hustle, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, I love it. And I'm not the type of person that can get bored. Like, if I get bored, we have a problem.
You
And
have a problem. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So you've always from, a very young age, always had that, little curiosity, ambitiousness, trying to figure it out, loving helping people. Again, not quite sure what exactly that was going to be, but knowing that that was definitely something that you wanted to do. That's just wanted you wanted to do.
yeah.
Just
Like
not
I
in what.
mean,
Yeah.
literally to give you an example, I would make my younger brother, he probably hates me to this day so, but I would create menus, fake menus with the manila folders,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
would create menus, and I would pretend that I owned the restaurant, and I was the hostess, and I was like, here's your food." Like, I literally would go to Nines, and my brother, to this day, he's still like, "Kylie, like, you were kinda, like, doing, the business," and I was like, "Yeah, but you were my only, person in the restaurant, so."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would play school with him and, like, print out the papers and make him sit there. It'd be like summer break. He's like, "I'm not doing math." I'm like, "You're gonna do math right now because it's school. I'm in charge right here." So I've always had that mentality too of like, I love to put stuff together and create things too.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so let me ask you this. So as you're growing up, like you said, you're just always that type of person, just kind
Yeah.
of, going and a go-getter, and you keep yourself active and you keep yourself, in all the things. Okay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? And what was, when you were growing up in your mindset when it came to the matters of the heart? Were you a girl that, really fancied the boys pretty early on? Always had a little boyfriend? Or were you the girl more like, no, not so much? What was it like for you?
I was boy crazy.
You were? Yeah.
Yes. I literally remember this is so bad, but I remember going to church camp and like being like, "Oh my god, look at that boy. Oh my gosh, look at that boy." Like I remember that. Like I remember vividly. Like it would always be like, "How do I look? Like, do you think the boy would like me?" But that was the other thing too, is I grew up too surrounded by boys. I have a
Okay.
brother, but I was put. My mom was like, "You're doing sports. Like no matter what, you're doing sports." So kind of tell you a backstory really quick of that
Yeah,
is
tell us.
I was on an all boys basketball. I trust me, I have no skills, but I was on an all boys basketball at the age of like 7. And
No
boys
way.
have always like I've just hung out with them. Like I'm like a part of the guys. Like growing up, like all the guys would play football and I'd be like in the street being like, "Throw me the pass. I'm not running, but throw me the pass." Like that's how it would always be. So I growing up would have friends that were girls, but they always like got jealous and I just was over the drama. And I'm like, "Nope, sorry." Like I always just hung out with the guys.
Okay.
So then leading up into high school time, it was like, okay, can't really be around the guys. Like, I was like, I gotta have like some girlfriends, but it was one of those that like I did have a boyfriend, well, a couple boyfriends, obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like high school time, I'm like, but really, I feel like was my turning point was when the summer between high school and college. And
Okay.
that's when I realized I was like, okay, we're going to have fun, but we're going to do on a mature level. And I feel like I've
Okay.
always been more mature. And
Okay.
so that's where I like was going on dates. I was just, having fun. 19-year-old. I was always the one that was like, let me drive you to your date. Like all my friends would be like, I want to drive. And like,
Oh, okay. You're like a little bit of you open, guys. You're very comfortable with guys. You had, your little crushes with guys, but you also were the wing woman.
I was the wing. Like
You
I
were the wing woman.
remember, I would be like, "All right, girls, if we're going to this party, I am the one drinking water. I will watch you. We will get home." Like I was always the drive. Like my mom would be like, I'd come home from 2 a.m. She'd expect me to be drunk, but no, I'd be sober because I was like, "Oh, I just dropped everyone off. They're fine." Like, yeah, I was that. I was a girl's
You
girl.
had that maturity in you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I can
that's
see
where it
that.
shifted because in high school, I was, like, all about, your boyfriends.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh my gosh, boys, love, totally." But then
Yeah.
when that summer hit, I was like, "Hold on, girlfriends are gonna last a long time, and I really wanna, dig those relationships." Men
Yeah.
are always gonna be there, but so I remember one time, this kinda goes into, like, a different story, but I remember one time we were at a frat party and,
Okay.
the roofie, the whole thing.
Yeah,
Well,
the whole stuff. Yeah.
I watched a girl almost get roofie, and I didn't know her, and I watched the guy, when her back was turned, put something in her cup, and I
You
straight
saw it. You actually saw. See,
Mhm.
when your mamas are like, "Hey, cover your cup, watch your cup." It's a true thing.
So
Okay.
I literally grabbed the girl, and I was like, "Hey, I think you need," I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, "Hey, I think you should meet this person," or something like that. I don't remember because I was just so heated in the moment, that the guy
Yes.
was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. Like, we're not doing this." I was like, "I just need her for a second." And she was like, "Who are you?" Like, she whispered, and I
Like,
was like,
who is this girl?
"Yeah."
Who is this girl?
And I was like, "It's okay." I was like, "Come on." And I was like, "How drunk are you?" And she was like, "Pretty drunk." I said, "I'm gonna call you an Uber home. Let's get you home. Just here's my
Wow.
phone." So I was always like that girl. Like, there was
You were
multiple
like,
times
you were legit the girl's girl.
I for sure, for
For
sure.
sure. For sure.
And so I always looked out, like, I was always a sober one, and if I was ever to have a drink or two, I was at my own house or something like that. Like, I knew where, because I've seen, but it also was like, I want to make sure my girls were okay and the girls that were there were okay. So, yeah, that's,
That's
yeah.
kinda like how you use how it was for you. Okay. So
Mhm.
when you were in that stage in life, and you're like you said, I'm at a different stage now. Now I'm more, realizing, okay, I need some good friends, but not only I wanted good friends, I want to be there for them. I want to help them out. I feel like too, I've always felt like I was kind of like more the mama bear too. I always wanted to like I don't know, we would go to clubs, girlfriend. It was so funny. I'm like 5'2". I'm just little, like this little thing, and we would go with all these girls, and I'd be like, "I got this." They're like,
Yes.
"Wait, oh, I got." He can't look at you like that. You know what I mean? Nope, no, he can't. Like he gotta have to get through me. And it was so funny. We just played these. It was amazing, though. We had such great friendship. So yeah, I totally relate to this right now. I get this.
Yeah.
Okay, so now though, as we talked about, so you're going to
Yeah.
school, and you knew that you wanted to do something, and you knew like early on that you were definitely crazy about the boys, but you also put yourself in a position that you were more like, the friend, the
Yeah.
friend, right? The friend, I'm sure they just adored you, but you definitely you had this different energy because you were just like, I can hang with you guys. Okay, cool. Got this.
Yeah.
So during this time in college, when you were going through all this stuff, what did you think about when it came to, your future in sense of getting married one day or not getting married? Was that even something you considered, or were you like, no, I'm not even there? What was going on with you?
Yeah, so in the back of my mind, I always was like, I want to get married like young. I always have said like I wanted to be a young mom. So when my kids
Okay.
were like older, I was like the MILF. It was so bad. But obviously I didn't tell the guys because they would like run away and I'd be like, sorry, didn't mean that like type thing. But I always was like, maybe there's a guy out there. But when all this happened, I really leaned into my friendships and I was like, I remember there was a guy and my friend was like, I called dibs. And I thought he was so hot. I was like, okay, you have dibs. Like, you're good. And they dated for 6 months and then they broke up. And I was like, still like, hey, can't, like, you dated my girl. Like, I can't. And I remember being like, I will go to the ends of the earth. There's a guy out there. There's someone out there for me. I'm not going to go fight with my friend because she wanted this guy. No. So that's where at this time, and I felt like I was almost like, I was a mama bear. I was mature. I honestly felt like I was like 26 stuck in a 19-year-old body at the time.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because I would like have friends that were like, oh, they're getting married, they're having kids. And then I'd have the spectrum where that's like, they were like, having fun and they were living their life. And I just like had the two, but I was like, what do I want to do? And
Okay.
so, yeah, at that time, I was not really thinking about boys. I just was leaning into those. And that's when I really was like, what do I want to do with my life? But then I was like, also, God's got this. Like, I'm not stressing. So I just
That's good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you were just like, I'm just going to kind of let this be. I have it in the back of my mind,
Mhm.
but I know that, you know what, I'm going to be okay. So you had that type of confidence in you from pretty early on.
Yeah, and I didn't wanna force it because that's one thing is my parents divorced when I was young, that I didn't want to force being in a relationship that I didn't like because I saw firsthand what that did, and so that also lead into why I'm mature too is because when we, have to go over to my dad's, I would take care of my brother, and then we'd come back home to my mom's and all that too, so that also helped too, but I saw my mom go through that, and now that I'm older, she's told me more that I didn't know. And I'm like, oh, you were living your best life. But at the time, I didn't know. At the time, I was like, okay, what's happening? So I also was like, I don't want to marry someone that I don't see myself with and end up getting a divorce. And I don't think divorce is bad. I think like there's just a part where I'm like, I'm not going to force it. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to be like, let's do this.
And that makes a lot of sense. How old were you when your parents got divorced?
I was 6 years old.
6 years old. Okay. So
Yep.
that also plays a part and shapes a lot of how we think. And so I can see also you going through that experience that also puts you more in this, protective mama mode with your girlfriends because you already started that with your brother. Okay. That makes see, I that's why I love these conversations because you get to hear, really honestly how people process things and what comes out of that, like what comes out of that. Okay, but that's awesome. Okay, I got that.
Yep.
Okay, so now you are going through this shift in, obviously college and friends, and you're like, okay, I got this. So
Yep.
how old were you when you first got in your first serious relationship then?
I was 20. Yeah. I
Okay.
Because it's my now husband. I met him when I was 20. I
Okay.
had serious boyfriend in high school, but now that I look back at that and it's almost 10 years later, I'm like, that was not serious.
That
Like,
was like, yeah, yeah.
that was
It
not like,
was serious for the time. It was like, yeah, you did the best you can for the time. It was everything. I got it.
yeah, yeah.
I know
I
what
was
you're saying, but
like,
you weren't ready. You were still
yeah,
maturing, still growing as a woman, still learning yourself. I got you. Okay.
yeah. So I met my now husband when July of 2016. I met him when I was 20.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So when you met your man now, because you guys have such a cool relationship, but when you met your man now, again, was this something that you were expecting or was it like what just happened? How did you meet your guy? Where
Oh
were you at the
gosh, this
time in
is
your
so
mindset?
this is gonna be so embarrassing. So I was like, remember, 3-year-old teacher. It was so me and my then best friend and her dog. She had a boyfriend. We all moved in together. It was June. It was July. Yeah, it was July of that year. 20 years old. Well, her and her boyfriend broke up, and all of that situation. But so crazy. I was
Yes.
like, I saw them go through that, and I was like, heck no, still no, man. Like, don't, nope, just gonna live over here, see what you go through. Don't want to deal with that drama. And so when all of that happened, I would put it's so bad, but on Twitter, now called X, but then
Yeah.
Twitter,
Okay.
I would put funny puns out just randomly. Like my bio was like, "Are you a pineapple? Because you're a fine apple." Like I would just put like I would literally put like funny puns out. Well, he randomly messaged me, and I trust me, I had like guys in my DMs. I don't want to be like, oh, but
Okay.
caught
Okay.
my
Yeah.
eye because he said a funny pun back. That he
Oh,
usually
okay.
guys are like, oh, I like your pun, and I'm like, whatever, like I don't care. But he said a funny pun back, and I was like, who are you? Hold
Yeah.
on. And so he messaged me on Twitter. And then this sounds so bad, but I
It's
thought
so good.
we were talking. I know you probably I thought he was gay. And I thought he was my gay best friend. I literally thought I was like, I'm my gay best friend. I love it.
Go for you, but oh my goodness, you are so like, no, I'm good. I'm like kind of blocking things a little bit. Okay. So for real. So then he messages you. Okay, ladies, listen to this. Cause we always like, we always do like he's gay when he ghosts us, right? Okay, he must have been gay. Okay. But no, so he messaged you, gives you a little, a cute little response to your thing. And then did he ask you out? And then you guys got
So
what happened?
yeah, we started talking. So
Okay.
okay, so I always was at the time, I was like, give me your Snapchat. Like, let me make sure you're a real person.
Okay.
Like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we were talking on Snapchat, and he just knew like little things. He'd be like, "Oh, what nail color are you getting?" Or like little things. I'm like, "Do you guys know that?"
Yes, yeah,
And
this is different. This is
yeah,
different.
I
Yeah.
was like, "Hold
He's
on."
very detailed.
I remember I was getting highlights, and he goes, "Oh, are you getting like?" Like it was like, are you getting like blonde or are you gonna do like like light? And I was just like, normal guys don't know that. Hold on. And then like talking more and more and more, I was like, I might have found my new gay best friend. Well, then he was like, "Hey, he didn't say like let's go on a date, but I call it now our first date, but I remember this is how much I didn't care. Like
Okay. Okay.
he messaged me on Snapchat because I kept it on Snapchat too because I was like, a girl doesn't give out her number until like, I know for sure. Like No,
So
don't
you
need
already knew. So you've been single, you've been dating. So you already know your little boundaries. You have boundaries. Ladies, did you hear that? She had her boundaries.
oh, you need boundaries or some guys are gonna go crazy and
Yeah.
yeah, you have to have boundaries. So
Yes.
I remember vividly, it was a Friday. My 3-year-olds were just being a terror. And it was Friday morning. He was like, hey, let's hang out. He didn't ever say, like, let's go on a date. He was
Okay.
like, hey, let's hang out. And I was like,
Okay.
I don't know. Like, the 3-year-olds are being, I'll let you know later. Well,
Okay.
4 o'clock runs around and he's like, hey, do you want to hang out tonight? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, please, like, let's just hang out. And I was like, fine, F it. Like, let's just go. Let's do it. I said,
Okay.
pick me up
You're
at
just
this.
like, let's do it. Whatever.
Yeah, I was like, pick me up at this time here. And then, okay, fast forward to that night. I didn't even get ready. Like, I straight, like, I mean, I got like, jeans and a t shirt on, but I wasn't like curling my hair. Like, I straight was like, here's some body spray and I'm good. Well,
But at this time, what was going on with you? Tell us what was going on with you. What you were again? Were you still thinking you weren't sure
no,
about him,
I
or
was
you
just
just
like,
not? You just weren't sure.
I was like, let me get a free dinner out of this. Like,
Okay.
I literally was like, sure, I don't care. Like, I was just so much of like,
That's it. That's the tip, you guys. I'm not even kidding you. You got when you're dating, like really honestly, just go with the flow. Have a good time, no expectations. Just you're just like, it's all good.
I can't even tell you how many times that I've been like, well, a girl got to eat, so like, sure, let's go to lunch. Like, sure, if you're paying for lunch, like, I can't even tell you how many times I've done that. And now to this day, like, I feel bad. Like, I remember I stayed with one
Yeah.
guy over Christmas time because
Yeah.
I knew he got me Lulu's for Christmas
Oh my gosh.
for like the big thing. And I mean, then once, I broke up and then I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
here, I'm so sorry. Like,
Yeah.
here, I'm keeping the Lulus, but here's some money. And then he was just like, oh no, the Lulus are yours. Keep your money. And I was like, all right. Like,
You're like,
I don't,
okay, cool. Oh my gosh, that's so
yeah.
good.
So at this time, I was just straight like, nope, living, like, I'm going to focus on me, myself, and
Yep.
I
Because
living.
you already had your vision of what you wanted to do. You weren't sure, but you knew that you wanted to create something, be entrepreneur or
Mhm.
corporate. And you were going forward. Okay. And so your man came out of nowhere pretty much.
Out of nowhere. So,
Okay. So now you're at what happens? So now you go to the, where do you guys go? Where does you guys go to hang out?
so yeah, so he picks me up so he comes to my door and I
Okay.
remember thinking like, oh shoot, I should like, like, I mean, okay, so his Snapchats at the time, some guys like could send a cute Snapchat.
Okay.
My husband at the time he did not. I straight
No.
was like, okay, you don't even know how to work a phone. Like, this is
Okay.
cool.
You don't know how to
I
work the
didn't like how tall he was or anything like that. So I remember opening the door and I was like, okay, this could either be my gay best friend or this actually could be like, okay, we'll see.
phone.
So I told him, I said, wait right here. Here's the dog. Have
Wait a
fun.
minute. Did you
And
see a picture of him before you saw him in
so
person?
his profile was like him bow and arrow. Like it
Okay.
was hunting. And so I didn't see like an
You
actual
didn't really see him. So you don't know if he's tall, short, like
no,
what's up.
and Snapchat, he would just send me like a selfie in his
Okay.
truck. Like that's what I would get. And I'd be like, oh, okay, like
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
But his
Okay. Hold on. Slow down here. This is
I
so
know,
good.
I know, I know.
It's good. It's good. Okay. So you're not knowing exactly, like you said, it's not like you were on a dating profile when they kind of tell you, this, the heights and this, whatever. Okay. Cool.
I did that. I
Yeah.
did Tinder. I did all of that before.
Okay. You did that. Okay.
Yeah. But
Got
no, he came from Twitter. Twitter.
Twitter, but that's fine. Listen, I am telling you, you never know where you can meet your person.
Yeah.
You're going to be open. Ladies, honestly, just be open. And I love this conversation so much because, we are talking about the matters of the heart and we're talking about, really truly finding our person. And honestly, when you're open and you have no expectations and you're keeping it light, this is why you have this fun personality and you're keeping it light and you're keeping it fun, you actually don't know what can happen. So I love that you are just kind of going with this, girlfriend. You're open, but you're not sure. Okay, so when you open the door, what does your man look like?
Oh my gosh. Backwards hats are like my kryptonite. So
Ah, look at her. Look at her. She look at her. She's like, you guys, if you can see this if you can see this, she like lit up. Yeah.
so he had a backward hat on and then he was in shorts and a t-shirt
Yeah.
and that was all. And I was like, okay. Well, when he looked at me, he had like those eyes and he was like, hey. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are kind of hot. But then I kept in the back of my mind, though, I was like, hold on, he's gay. Don't let him, because this is what he talked about. So I was like, hey, okay, come in. And I was like, hey, I'm finishing getting ready. Because at this point, I'm like, oh, shoot, I need to throw on like some blush at least. Like, I didn't even like have
You're
like
like, it's
makeup on.
cute. Like, I literally thought my gay friend, but now I don't know. You don't know. Now you're kind of confused. You're a little confused.
I'm kind of confused.
Okay,
So
okay.
I was like, oh, hey, here's the dog. I said, give me like 5 more minutes, play with the dog. And he's like, okay, I love dogs. And I was like,
Yeah.
So I'm like hurrying the bathroom, trying to put some bronzer on, some
Okay.
blush on, like
Right.
doing, thank goodness for fake lashes. So I already had
Yeah.
that done. But
Yeah.
I'm like hurrying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess I have to keep this outfit because I already was wearing this outfit. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And so I was like, all right, we got this. Like, let's figure this out. Well, okay. So then I go and get him away from the dog because he's a dog person. And
Okay.
loves him.
Okay.
So we get in his truck, and I straight up, before we left, I said, I got to ask you something before we leave. Like,
Okay.
are you gay? And I straight up asked him.
You did ask him.
Because I was like, I don't want to tiptoe around it. I don't want to leave this date or whatever this is so confused. And then I have to text you and be like, are you gay? And then you're like, get offended where I'm like, didn't mean it like that. Because sometimes I say something and then it gets offended. Anyways.
Wow, she's direct. I love it.
I am a direct person. And I was like, are you gay? And he was like, no, why would you say that? And I was like, hold on, time out. Because you talked about my hair. You talked about what color my nails were. And he was like, no, I live with my mom and my sister, and I've always had girls around me. So I just know those stuff. And I was trying to engage with you and get in the conversation with you. And I was like, oh, my naive self was over here like, how would a guy know? And he's like, no, I've just always like known. So I was trying to like keep the conversation flowing, like afraid that stop talking or thinking boring. And I was just like, okay. So that's when it hit me, and I was like, okay, we're going about this a different direction.
We're doing this differently now.
We're doing this differently.
Yeah.
So he planned it, and we went mini golfing, and then we went to Dutch Bros.
Okay.
So during mini golfing, I'm flirting, I'm touching his arm. I'm like, let's see how this goes. You know, I'm like totally shift 180 from my gay best friend to
my
now.
gay best friend, to now maybe my future man.
Yeah. So it literally was like the best. I was like, oh my gosh, like this could be my future. I could see everything with him. Well, he takes me home, back to the apartment, walks me up, such a gentleman. I remember my roommate at the time, she was just leaving to go out, do whatever. And she met him, and he was like, oh my gosh, like it's so great to meet you. Like just so nice. And she even like texted me and was like, oh my gosh, she's so nice.
She's like, girl, who is that?
Yeah, literally. And so then fast forward, this is like, he drops me off everything, texts me when he gets home, and says how much he like had so much fun and all that. I wake up the next morning with a text saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to see you anymore. I have a lot on my plate. It's just too stressful right now. Last night was so fun. I am so sorry. I wish you nothing but the best.
No.
Mind you, I opened my heart because remember I was kind of guarded. I opened my heart, and I was like, at that point, I was like, F this. I gave him a shot. He's done. Boys are done. Screw that. Like, I was like, I'm done. But then I took a step because I was mad. This was a Saturday morning too. So, of course, I had time to stew in my own thoughts because I didn't have work take over. So I didn't respond. Because I was like, I'm not going to respond out of anger. I'm not going to respond out of like pity. Like, oh, I'm so sorry that you have so much complaint. Like,
Yeah.
So I let do. At the time, I didn't tell anyone. My mom, who's my best friend, didn't even know that
You didn't tell her. Okay.
Because I was like, it could go one of two ways. I could give this perception of him to all my friends and my mom, who's my best friend. And then if this does work down the road, they're going to be like, well, remember that time he said he was and use it against me. So later that day, remember, I had a glass of wine because I was like, F this. And I was writing in notes like pros and cons for my future though. Like I didn't do it for me, and I did it for my future of like cons. I don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to be relying on a man. Trust me, 19 or actually 15-year-old self would want to rely on the man. But I was like,
we talked about when you were younger how you had this funny view of things. But now you're at a different place. I don't want to rely on man.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah. And so I put my pros and cons list together, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take the higher road. I responded back to him and said, completely understand. I am always here if you need anything. Last night was so much fun. Thank you for a great night. Wish you nothing but the best. Like, I said it.
Wow, good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna take the high because what am I gonna lose? Like, he already said he didn't want to be with me, and so then fast forward a few weeks, I'm working at. Well, I'm started the process to work at the internship.
Yeah, yeah,
Work
yeah.
in the state office, then turn into full time. But so I started the process of getting the interview. I was like, okay, this is God's placing me where I need to be. He wanted me to go through this to be able to see my future. I feel
Yep.
like. Well, fast forward a month ish. Yeah, now I'm working at the real estate office, all of that. I get a random message from him on Snapchat
Oh,
that's like,
you haven't heard from him for a whole month.
the whole month we went by. And
Okay.
he goes, hey, I can't stop thinking about you. I have to tell you something. And I'm like, okay, thinking I'm going through like, oh my gosh, does he have like a secret girlfriend? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yes, yeah. Like, what happened? Okay.
what's happening? So then he was like, no, the reason why I didn't want to pursue is because I actually saw a future that night together and I didn't want to scare you. And it scared me because I don't feel like I can be that guy for you. And I was like, why didn't you just tell me? I'm a direct person. I called you out thinking you're gay. Like, what are you doing? And so he was like, no, it's okay. So we actually talked through Snapchat. Well, he had my number and we FaceTimed.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did that for months. Well, fast forward, family drama happened. This is
Okay.
September.
Okay.
Family drama happened. I'm not gonna really get into that, but
Okay. So you had some stuff happen. Okay.
it was me and my roommate. Her boyfriend didn't live, so it was two girls and a dog. We were struggling making rent. Like I was pulling like pennies out of the couch at this point. Like
Yeah, yeah.
thinking I needed to take on another job. Like I was just like, oh my gosh. So I randomly remember we went to a Florida Georgia Line concert and came back home. She had the next morning she was working as a nurse, so she had her first like full day at the hospital, like her big day, and I just had normal work. Well, I remember hearing rocks being thrown at my window or something hitting my window at the time.
Okay.
And so I was like, what the heck? Like, I woke up and I was like, is someone hitting my window? I'm like, no, it's probably a tree, whatever. It's
Yeah,
on the second
yeah.
level. It's like tall. And then I heard it again. And I was like, maybe it's her ex-boyfriend trying to get in because he left something here. Because he like randomly would like leave stuff. And I was like, maybe he did. Well, then I started looking at my phone and Justin's name's on my phone.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And then I'm hearing the rocks being thrown. And I answered my phone and I said, what is going on? And as I'm looking out my window, I see him. He's not on the phone. It's his biological mom being like, is Justin there? Where is he? Like, she is his phone. I'm running down at this point. So I'm like, your mom's on. And he's
Yeah,
like,
your mom's here. Like, what's
up.
going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So long story short with that, they got in a fight or so. I don't know exactly what happened. But I told him, I was like, look, you can live here. So his dad and his stepmom were like, you can live with us. And he was like, I don't really want to move back into like my parents. Like they had one bedroom and he'd have to share a bedroom with his brother. So he was like, I don't really, and I was like, stay with me. Like, I am here for you. Like, stay with me. Well, that's how our relationship started. Because he never has left. And I've lived with him since then. So we go through all of that. And I literally 2 days later remember being like, do you want to help us with rent? And we sat down with my roommate and we all had the conversation. She's like, I love it, but are you guys like serious? And I'm like, I mean, he's the only one I've been talking to. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And where was he? Like, what was he thinking? What was he thinking at that time?
he was just like, I really like you and I want to be with you and I'll do anything to make this work. Like, I remember the vivid conversations that we had, like sitting on my bed of like, are you sure? Like, you just like, and he was like, no. Like, I want this. Like, I realize I want this. I don't want to lose you. I want to be with you. I will do anything to fight for you. And I was like,
Wow.
okay. Yeah. So she was
He was
like
100% in.
100%. Oh yeah. Like 120% in at this point. Like, I literally was like, oh my gosh. So with that, I remember being in our kitchen and we were cooking dinner and I turned to him and said, you should probably ask me to be your girlfriend, but today is 9/11, so please, can we not do it on 9/11? like, can we do it? So he was like, yeah, I'll do something. So then the next day he brought me flowers and was like, would you be my girlfriend? And I was like, yes. So our anniversary date is 9/12. So
Okay, 9/12, not 9/11. Yeah, yeah.
yep. So that's when we first started. So yeah, that's how we
Oh
started.
my gosh. So let me ask you this. Oh, so how did you guys go from no, seriously.
I know.
Oh, because people are listening to the story right now. They're like, wow, how did that just happen so quickly right now? What just
Mhm.
happened? And of course, if you didn't send a text that was just like, okay, cool. You know what? I only want a guy who wants to be with me. If he doesn't want to be with me, I'm cool with that. You didn't
Yeah.
want anything forced. That's beautiful. But
No.
if you didn't send that text, he probably would have never ever, contacted you again. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did we go from, now we're, honestly, we're going to get to know each other, move with each other, like everything all at one time.
Yeah. And share a bed. I did not. That's one thing I also didn't do with any guy was I didn't sleep over in a bed because I didn't want to wake up the next morning and have to sneak out. Like I was always like, sure, I'm leaving at 2
You're
a.m.
like, yeah. Okay,
So
but let me ask you this. How did you know? No, honestly, and I know that we're having a little, fun how you guys met and stuff like that. But there must have been something for you because you had already said from the beginning, you've always been independent. You've
yep,
always a woman's woman, and you're watching out for people and you didn't want anybody to fool you and you kept your guard up and you're open, all the things. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And I think, for the lot of us women, either we go right or we go left. So either we're, being too people pleasing, getting into all these relationships and we shouldn't be, or we're doing the opposite. We're kind of, very independent, all the things. Okay. What was it though? Because you seem like, obviously you're not a person that just does something, without really knowing something's either right or wrong. Okay. What was the difference and how did you truly genuinely know without a doubt that this was your man?
his maturity level for one. Like anytime he would talk, I'd be like, "What did you just say?" Like, it would almost be like, "Hold on." And then it was also his love and affection. Like, he showed me. It wasn't just like, "Let me buy you flowers." It was like, he generally, like, put his phone down and listened to me when we talked. And
Oh.
at that age, it's so hard to not be attached to your phone. Like, he generally would be like, "Let's make dinner, but keep your phone over here." Like, that was one thing too. And I was like, "Oh, he cares." Or it would be like the little text throughout the day that was like, "Hey, just want to check in. How are you?" I am not the person that I need to be texted all throughout the day or called or anything like that. But just showing like, "Hey, how are you? I just want to check in. Like, how's work going?" Like that type of thing. And I was like, he cares. And that's one thing that I think shifted is I was like, hold on, like this is a sign. Like I'm a believer in science because well, look at my life. But that's where I'm like, hold on, this is a sign. Like his maturity level is coming up to my maturity level. Now, trust me, he has his times where sometimes I'm looking at him, I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah, you're like, buddy. Yeah. No, but he seems like from the beginning, and this is what you honestly for us single ladies right now, that are listening to this. It seems like even though it was not your typical way, we're going to get together, obviously,
yeah,
but it seems like from the beginning, he truly was a man of his word, a man of character, and he was showing you by his actions.
yeah.
How important is that? Because I'm sure you've been with guys in the past that say all the things, but they're not showing you by their actions.
Oh,
How important is that?
actions speak louder than words. I will watch actions to this day, anyone, business, personal. Your actions are going to show truer than what you say. I could have someone text me and be like, I'll show you the whole world, hop on my private jet. Okay, but if you don't actually show me the private jet, how are you, type thing. Like that was one thing. And at the time, I just remember like all these guys would be like, yeah, I'm making this much money. And I'm like, but you had me split dinner with you. Or,
Mm.
oh, you took me to a sub shop for our date. Like, I didn't want, like, trust me, I did not need the steak dinner. But, like, when you take me to, like, a sub shop and pay $5, like, to me, I'm like, hold
Yeah,
on.
there
Like,
was no effort. There was no, it was just, yeah. It
none.
was not, it was obviously showing you. they were like, buddy, you're cheap. What the hell?
Right. Oh, and trust me, my husband is cheap, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
yeah.
different way too. But that's
It's
the
totally
thing.
different.
Yeah, and just showing, like, just caring. Like, he would be like, just little things that would be like, "What do you wanna do this weekend?" And then, I just wasn't asking for, like, "Let's go to the farmer's market and lunch and shopping and all the things," because 'cause I'm like, "I can do that myself." Like, I'm my own best friend, and that's one thing that I needed to, you know, figure out with him being there. But he just cared, and that was the biggest thing, was showing me than just saying it.
Just showing you that he was actually he cared and you had to.
Mhm.
And let me ask you this. Once you guys, obviously you get married, and how long were you guys together before you actually got married?
Yeah, so we've been together. This September will be 8 years. We've
Okay.
been married for 3 years. I'm
Okay.
horrible at math. See, this one
Okay.
didn't do.
Okay. So something like that. Okay. So you guys had, a few years obviously together, getting to know
Yeah,
each other, everything until we get married. Now looking back as time has gone by, what is something that you have learned about yourself when it comes to, how you actually show up in your relationship with your man? And what have you learned about like the things, you know what I mean? Like the things that have worked and the things that you're like, oh, I got to humble myself down a little bit,
yeah,
because I know that we can find a person and we can, get this right connection. And I know you guys have more stories. And again, I don't know how this conversation went so fast. This was so fun. I know, seriously. I'm like, wow, how am I going to wrap this one up? I'm like, this is how, like, no, but how, for obviously the listeners right now, they're like, wow, this seems like they really definitely, unconventional. They got together, it's unconventional, and they really made this work, right? And
yeah,
then you get married, and then that's another form of, transition.
yeah,
What did you learn about yourself, and how do you keep this relationship truly, genuinely thriving? Because I know this is not a perfect relationship, but I know you guys have a really cool relationship. And I'm sorry, I know we're not going to get into deeper into that, but I want people to hear this part because you've been so independent.
yeah. So my biggest takeaway
Okay.
is, and trust me, there was a time we didn't even get into the business part when I told him that I'm starting a business, and he straight was like, "You're starting the business and you're starting on your own." And then I was like, "Oh, and by the way, here's my debt that I have, and I'm starting this business." Like, all of that. The biggest thing that I've
Okay.
learned, and we
Okay.
have done it, communicate. Tell them what you want. They
Okay.
cannot read your mind. Men are not a mind reader. So it's just like dinner. Like tonight, for example, it was a great
Okay.
night.
Okay.
I called him on break today of his work and was like, "What are we doing for dinner? Like, what do we have?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Well, let's go to the grocery store." Like, I'm not just gonna assume like, "Oh, we need to go to the grocery store. Oh, maybe he'll pick up something on the way home." Like, no. I'm like, "Let's go to the grocery store. Let's get stuff for dinner." Like, type thing. And it's really communicating, but telling them what you want.
Oh,
My
I love
husband's
that.
not a mind reader, but he will do the dishes if I tell him, and be like, okay, this is the other thing. Not just telling them, "Hey, do the dishes." It's like a manipulation thing that I feel like. So it's more like, "Hey, the sink is really full right now. Like, the dishes are kind of piling up. I'll get that, later." And then it being like, "Or if you have time, could you possibly do that?" And kind of doing it away like that. Like, the taking the trash out would be like, "Hey, when you're outside, could you take out the trash really quick? Like, if not, like, totally, I'll do it. No problem at all. But if you are possible, like, you got to do it in a way that is like not being like, go do the dishes or something like that." Like,
Controlling.
yeah,
Controlling.
you can't
And the
be.
way you have a nice little, wow, I like your little slide there. It's it's actually, that sounds so kind. It sounds more like a partnership
Yeah, and with that
when you talk
too,
like that.
it's also like more of really communicating, but also having patience, because trust me, sometimes the dishes don't get done, and I
Yeah.
am like, fine, I'll just do them. But in those moments, I find myself like, okay, I could either make this a huge fight, or I could, take this as a learning lesson and be like, okay, let me do this next time. And most of the time, I take it as a learning lesson. Now, it's one of those things too. You have to be patient with yourself, but also, how do you want to be talked to? And that's one thing, is like, I don't want him to be like, go do the dishes, because I'm gonna be like, well, you go do the dishes. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, instead, it's more like, hey, the dishes are filling up. Like, I think like
Oh, yeah, it's just a kinder approach, and then, you and asking for help, but still not being so demanding, but just ask.
just
Just
ask.
ask, or yeah, I love that. I think often, our expectations, and especially when it comes to relationships and when it comes to, the opposite sex,
Yeah,
and I think the opposite sex obviously does the same thing to us.
yeah,
It's those expectations. It's, just thinking that they should, or thinking that they should know, but not really actually getting curious and
mhm,
asking. And how powerful is that? How powerful is that when you actually get a little more curious and ask questions? And I think that's what communication is, right? Because, everyone's like, what is communication? Well, you got to ask questions,
yeah.
right? You have to ask questions and you can't just assume. So it's
Assumption is the enemy.
it is.
Assumption is the enemy. Anytime I'm assuming, I call him out and he's called me out on it now because the
Yeah,
past few months,
that's
I think
good.
that I assume that he is like, I'm like, oh, I assumed. And he's like, Kylie, there's that word again. And I'm like, you're right. Like, thanks
You're
for
right.
assumption is the enemy. Literally, that is the worst. And I have learned definitely with being in this, like, I mean, one of the little things, like our wedding, there was like, I assumed that he wanted like this. I think it was like a song. It was something so stupid too,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
assumed he wanted it, and I was like, oh, I should have just asked you. I'm sorry. Like, I was like, oh, I kind of just assumed. And so don't assume. Like, if your gut is like, I don't know, go ask. Like,
I love it. I love
just
it.
do it.
And I love it, and even take it when you were single, honestly.
Yes.
I love this because I interviewed one of these guys. I interviewed a podcast guest, and I remember he's a dating coach for men. This is so
Mhm.
good you're saying this because he said, I think I asked him a question, when you're dating, what is something that we can do as women to show that we are, interested, and I'm not saying we have to pay for their dates or anything like that. Like, no, honestly, when we're on a date. And that was what he said. It's one of his main things says, yeah, you're really good. One of the things that he said, he's like, you know what? Get curious. Ask us questions too.
Yeah.
Don't just assume.
Yeah.
Don't just think, you know what I mean? Like, just actually ask us. We really appreciate real questions. And I think if you're dating, and I think you started this from the very beginning when you asked him, "Are you gay?" You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that, but you know what? I'm a heterosexual woman, so we can either you can be my new gay friend, or you. Wait, no, seriously, because you're so right. Because if you already had, if there's something there, and you already had this kind of like, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
there's always a way to do it in a way that you can still, not ruffle too much feathers,
Mhm.
and and get direct and say it quickly. And I love that you did that, because if you didn't do that, girlfriend, you probably would have still, I would have taken
Oh,
you probably wouldn't have the night that you had,
yeah.
that
Mhm.
you guys had that real connection, because you would have had a
Yeah.
different guard up.
That's
What is, and I know we got to finish this story. You guys, wasn't this so fun? I love hearing about this love story. This was so good. But let me ask you this too. And because I got all these questions. What is truly genuinely one of your favorite things about your man? And how is it, now that you're married? What do you love about being married?
I love the quality time right now. Like, there is such, trust me, business is my baby.
Okay.
I he it's so funny because he'll go on like his hunting trips, his guide
Yeah.
trips, and I find myself working on my laptop till 1 a.m. But when I'm with him, I put my laptop away at 9 because I'm like, our quality time. I mean, trust me, I will put it way earlier, but sometimes I'm like, oh wait, I need to get this one thing done. And then he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
last night, for example, he came up and like literally shut my laptop. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I go mad and defensive. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, can we just spend some time with each other?
Quality time. I
When I
love.
go to sleep, you can be on your laptop, you can
Yeah.
get your work done, but can I just have this hour? And I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even realize it was that tight. Like, I'm so sorry. But the quality time of that, but also he cares. Like, as literally as we're doing the show, he texted me and said, hey, I'm headed home. Do you need anything? And I saw my
Oh,
computer and I'm like, you knew I had, like, oh, okay. And that's the thing, is like just generally putting in the effort and caring and showing like, hey, the lives are always going to be crazy. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something that's pulling us away from each other, or he has this, I have this. Like, trust me. Sometimes I'm like, I am so sorry. And I will text him and tell him in the morning, like, I love you so much. I have a crazy day. I will text you when I can. Just know I am still thinking of you today. Like, just that whole, and then
So
he doesn't get
sweet.
mad. Like, why didn't you text me? And I'm like, it, it stops that. So just how much he cares. I just love, yeah.
Oh, I love that. And let me ask you this. So if, for our girls, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions now. So for our ladies who are single and they haven't, found their man yet, they're like, well, I haven't found one like that. And they're like, I want one that's really into me. Yes, because of course you
Yes,
absolutely, ladies, absolutely. You want a man 1000% that
for sure.
literally is so into you and he shows you he's into you and you are the best thing, from sliced bread. I think that just ages me, but that's okay. You know what I mean? Like
I know
seriously.
the term. I know the term too, and I'm
Okay, good. Okay,
you're
good.
good.
Okay,
You're
okay.
hip.
Good. I'm hip. And honestly, what is something that you want to say to them if they haven't found, the right guy?
One, stop stressing. Like, let it go. Please.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love
Let
it.
it go.
Love it.
Because if it's meant to be for you, God is going to put that in your pathway and he's going to remove it if it's not meant to be for you, for one. Two, have fun. People sometimes go on dates, and trust me, I have friends that are single, and I literally had my one friend tell me, she was like, maybe this is the guy. And I was like, why are you going into that thinking like that? Like, hold on. Because then you put this expectation up and then you're assuming that too. And so that's where I'm like, have fun, stop stressing, but also at the same time, know your worth. I have seen
I love this.
so many people that just want to be in a relationship and they want that genuine connection. But then at the end of the day, they're like, do I really like this guy? Like, I don't know. Trust me, go with your gut feeling. Your heart is going to know what you want. And so, but just have fun. I mean, you only get to live once. And
I
that's
know, and dating should be fun. I'm happy you're saying that, Kylie, because I tell them all the time. I was like, dating should be fun. It's really just an opportunity to get to know different people. You don't know, not everyone's going to be your forever. You don't really know somebody until some time goes by. That's the curiosity. That's the best part of getting to know someone. That is awesome. So have a little more fun. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, right?
don't put pressure, because the more pressure you put, the more you're going in, and then the more you're going to be nervous, and the more that the guy's going to be like, oh, there's just like, not something wrong, but like, oh, she's like not physically, like she's physically here, but mentally she's checked out. And so that's where you just start to have fun and you are like, the curiosity, let the curiosity get into you and be like,
Yeah.
like, I trust me, gay best friend over here, thought I was
Yeah.
gay at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then I straight was point blank and said, are you gay? And he said no. And
Yeah.
that's where we are.
And I'm not like she's married and she loves her man. Okay. And for my ladies that are married and you have been able to, you guys have been married now for 9 years and again, nothing's perfect, but you've been able to create this really great relationship with one another. What advice would you give us to, us independent, stronger women sometimes that get in our own way? What advice would you give us and how have you created this type of fun and relationship with your man?
Oh my gosh. So I have had to learn this the hard way, trust me.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
owning a business, we on my calendar have a date night once a
Okay.
week.
Okay.
But it's not going, trust me, it is expensive to go out. It's not going out. But we trade off. So I sometimes plan the dates or he'll plan the dates. Or some weeks he's like, hey, I know it's date night on the calendar, but we switch it up days. I used to
Oh, I
be
love that.
it used to be every Thursday. And then I realized like I almost like had anxiety leading up to that day because I was like, oh, I don't know what we were gonna do. Oh my gosh, I have all this work. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to go to this work event and I can't. Like, so we started changing where we actually sit down in the beginning
Okay.
of the month and I look at the month and I say, can we do this day? Can we? And so sometimes it's on a Monday, sometimes it's on a Thursday, sometimes it's on Friday, sometimes we do a Sunday, and type thing. But that's the thing too is plan a day, and it could be at home. Like sometimes where we just like make a fancy meal at home, and instead of sitting on the couch eating, like we should not be, but we haven't. We sit at the kitchen table and we have our phones on the counter away from us, and
Yeah, I love that.
we're like here because trust me. I don't want to be sitting like that every single night. Sometimes I'm just like, let me decompress and eat my food by myself for 2 seconds. But just having that, like, I'm like, okay, I know I can be physically present with him because trust me, I'm being pulled in multiple directions with this business and I love it so much and I'm like so grateful for it. But I have to be grounded sometimes with like, I need to be here physically.
I love that you said that. And you know what I love that you said too? And this is something recently, so good you said that. And this is something recently that I realized also that I do believe 100% that you have to be able to plan weekly a date night because the
Yep.
week goes by so fast. And if you don't actually intentionally take that time with one another, then that time actually doesn't happen. It's like two ships in the night. So that's one of the ways that you guys have really honestly have kept this connection and this fun after the 9 years. Okay. Another thing too that I love that you said that I recently realized this because my husband and I had this conversation was, he's always been the planner. He's always been the one, that courts me and kind of like makes the plans and, really takes that role. But we had this conversation one day and he said, God, sometimes, it'd be really fun if like, you plan it. And it was like a light bulb. I love that you said this. It was like a light bulb moment. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, there's certain things that I want to do too. And I think it'd be really fun. And it'd be kind of exciting if instead for him having to think about it, and all the time, what is he, what is something I can do that we can spice it up or like you said, something simple at home or go out or anything like that. Ladies, I love that advice too. So if you're married and you are wanting to have, that connection again, keep it light, keep it fun for sure. We hear this all the time, but it's actually, there's so much more to this. This is actually pouring into your relationship. This is actually, being intentional because life is busy, life is hard, we're busy, all the things. Really put yourself in a position weekly. And I think that's cool. I can see that too. Like if it's always Thursday and you don't want it to feel like a chore. You want it to feel something you're excited. And if you are busy on Thursday, but you're like, hey, baby, not Thursday, but how about Friday? We're both free on Friday. There's nothing wrong with that. That's amazing. You don't have to have a set every week. It has to be at the same time type of stuff. No, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that you said that. So definitely listen to that. Make it a priority to be connected like that without distractions, having some fun, whatever that means to you too. And
Mhm.
yes, stop with just putting yourself in front of a TV because that is the least form of connection that you can have. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's more checking out. And there's nothing wrong with checking out either. We're not talking about this. We're talking about date night, you know? And I love that you said that.
Sometimes our date night, it does not have to be to the nines. I just
Yes.
want to say sometimes our date night, I get decision fatigue really bad, actually,
Okay. I love that.
that I will Uber Eats us dinner, and while we're waiting for Uber Eats to deliver, it's just walking around the block. Us two, we leave our phones at home, we take our pup out, and we walk around the block, and then we'll have like our dinner on the porch, and then we'll go eat it. And sometimes that's all I need is that connection. Then we talk
Yes.
about just like life things. But I've realized like walking around the block, like just simply that. And
That's
we
fantastic.
try doing that more, but honestly, life gets crazy, or you come home and you just are like, oh my gosh, I cannot do, I don't want to be when it's hot. Here in Arizona, it's hot too.
Yes. Yeah.
So but it could be something like that. It could be something of like driving to go pick up the food. I've realized like our drives when we're in a car together, like driving to pick up the food is so like genuine connection right
It
there.
is. It's so good, isn't it?
That,
Yeah.
and then going home and just eat. Like everyone's got to eat, and so that's where I place a lot of my dates around food because I'm like, well, we both have to eat.
Yeah. I love it. That sounds good to me. Yeah.
But that's where it's like you don't have to plan this whole like let's go out to dinner here and then all that. It could be simply of like let's just go on a walk.
Connect. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
really genuinely connect and check in with one another.
yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Thank you for
How
this
are we at
fun.
hour?
I know for this fun conversation. Honestly, let me ask you this. How do people get in your world? How do they work with you? Where do you hang out? How do we get into your world?
Instagram. Uh,
Okay.
Trust me. I mean, you can Facebook me if you want to do
Yeah.
Facebook, and
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok, but Instagram, like, and
Okay.
anyone that's listening, send me a message. I'm a girl's girl. I'm here for
Yeah.
you. You can have my phone number. It's okay.
Yeah.
Type thing. But seriously, if you have any questions or like, I don't care. There's no question's a stupid question. We learned that. I asked my husband if he's gay the first time we met. Like, no question is a stupid question. So please, like, message me. Be like, hey, I have this wild idea, business related, personal related,
Perfect.
or just be like, hey, what are some date ideas? Because trust me, I mean, we're coming on 8 years married, and I've definitely had to plan some that I'm like, all right, $10 we have this week. What are we
Yes.
gonna do with that?
What are we doing? What are we doing? And let me ask you this. And with you, and I know that, we had you introduce, what you do in the beginning with your marketing and your business, but specifically one more time, like who do you actually help?
Small businesses. If you have a small business, real estate agent, loan officer, interior designers, boutiques, like some clothing boutiques, small businesses, you're my people. I want to help.
She's your marketing expert, you guys. This is who she's gonna help you grow, help you move, shake the needle, the whole thing. The whole thing.
Yep, the whole thing.
Amazing. Is there anything that you want to finish this conversation with today? Because I sadly have to. I know. It's just too fast.
It's so fast. I just wanted to tell everyone that's listening one my wild story that I feel like we went on so many twists and turns and all of that. And we only got to starting the date, which is crazy. But I do want to just say, like, please have fun, live in the moment. If you're in your 20s, live in your 20s. Like, do not stress about what 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds are doing. If you're in your 30s, I mean, I can't wait for my 30s. I turn 28 next week, and I'm like knocking on the door at 30. I'm like, come on, I'm ready.
It's
And
so good.
that's where, I mean, trust me, all of my best friends are in their 40s and 50s. And it's so funny because I see them in their relationship and they're like, Kylie, it's not all rainbows and sunshines. And I'm like, what do you mean it's all rainbows and sunshines? Like, we've been together forever. And so that's where, just have fun. Life goes by so
Yeah.
quick. And don't stress. I mean, we put so much pressure on everyone, put so much pressure on themselves if it's business related, if it's personal, if it's relationships, if it's having kids. Like, there's so much pressure on us in society. Just have fun, live it up. If you want to go on that cruise and go be with your man for a week, just go. Like,
I
nobody's
love that, Kylie. I love that you're saying this. I love that you are literally saying this. That is so powerful because
I
I think it's true. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, and just hearing you say, reminding us honestly, just don't do that to yourself. And again, I've said this before, like truly genuinely, how do we want to live until now, until death?
yeah.
We don't know when that is. I mean, honestly, nobody knows when that is.
Nope.
And we don't want to be all stressed out. We actually want to enjoy ourselves. And we are the only ones that can do that for ourselves. So thank you for saying that.
And don't forget, you're your own best friend. I've had to learn that the hard way when I'm like, going to Target by myself and I'm like, okay, kind of wish I had someone. And I'm like, no, I'm my own best friend. Like, sometimes I'm like, what do we want to do today?
I love that. I love that because it's always going to be you with you.
It's always going to be you with you. And that's one thing too, I want to say, and then I promise, like, I'm done. But what you put in your mind, that's the biggest thing. How you talk is how you are going to perceive yourself and how people are going to start perceiving you. So if you're talking negatively, people are going to start being like, oh my gosh, she's so negative. I write in a journal every single day 10 things that I want to happen. And one of them is
Oh, I
I'm the
love
most positive person. And I write that. So anytime, yes, I have negative thoughts. Yes, I am a Debbie Downer. Sometimes I
course.
come home
Yes.
crying. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I see that and I'm like, positive. Like, how can I be the positive, the light? What can I do? And that's one thing too, is like very like, just when you're going on a date, when you're with your person, and you will know it will click. You don't push it, but it will happen. Just one, be yourself, but also think of like going back to the dishes. I just go back to the dishes. Like, do you want to be like, oh, this is what, the dishes, like, do the dishes? Or do you want to be like, hey, the dishes are kind of overflowing. I'll get to that. But if you don't mind, like, I'd rather be talked to that way. So,
Absolutely. I'd rather be talked to that way any day.
and so that's just the thing, is like, start to think of like, how are you talking to yourself about yourself? Because that'll help.
Oh, so good. We're going to leave it just like that. That was so good. Thank you. Thank you for this amazing conversation today. Thank you for sharing your heart and your authenticity. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Oh my
Thank you.
God.
Thank you. And till next time, cheers to great love.
Let's talk about the tip of the week, which is you can be strong and soft, and you don't have to choose. Being a driven, independent woman doesn't mean closing yourself off emotionally. In fact, learning to let your guard down, communicate clearly, and soften into your feminine energy exactly what creates deeper intimacy into your relationship. You don't have to give up on your ambition to have a thriving love life. You can lead in business and lean back in love. That's the real power, knowing when you lead and when to soften. That's a wrap. I love this conversation with Kylie because it is such a beautiful reminder that you don't have to sacrifice your relationship to build your dream career. And you don't have to lose yourself in love to be in one. That's the sweet spot when you allow both parts of you to exist, the bold, successful woman and the soft, feminine partner. Kylie's story is a perfect example of what's possible when we lean into both. If you're loving these podcasts and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who will share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.